The massive ship appeared in Earth's sky without warning. One moment the morning was clear and blue. The next a shadow fell across major cities as the Xanthari vessel positioned itself in low orbit. It was unlike anything humans had built, sleek and dark with glowing purple lines tracing its hull. The ship was nearly 2 miles long. News stations around the world broke into regular shows. People stopped their morning routines and looked up. Some ran in fear, while others stood in awe. Military bases went on high alert. Fighter jets scrambled but kept their distance on orders from above. In the Pentagon War Room, Admiral Kate Morgan watched the main screen with narrowed eyes. At 52, she had seen many crises, but nothing like this. Her silver-streaked black hair was pulled back in a tight bun, her uniform perfectly pressed despite being called in at 3 a.m. "What are they waiting for?" she asked, though no one had an answer. The alien ship had been in position for nearly 3 hours without making any move or sending any message. Global leaders were in constant communication. Nuclear weapons were armed but not targeted. No one wanted to make the first aggressive move against a clearly superior force. At exactly noon Eastern Time, every screen, phone, and computer on Earth flickered. A face appeared. Humanoid but clearly alien. The being had pale blue skin, no hair, and eyes that were entirely black. When it spoke, its mouth moved in sync with English words. "People of Earth, I am Lord Vextal, representative of the glorious Xanthari Empire. Your world now falls within our expanding territory. The Empire brings order and progress to all systems under its protection. You will submit to imperial rule and gain the benefits of our advanced civilization." Admiral Morgan clenched her fists as the alien continued. "You have 3 standard cycles, what you call months, to prepare your world leaders for the formal submission ceremony. Resistance is unnecessary and has never succeeded. We have conquered 17 star systems before yours. All now prosper under our guidance." The message ended as abruptly as it began. Screens returned to normal, though nothing felt normal anymore. President Linda Harris called an emergency meeting in the White House Situation Room. Admiral Morgan sat beside Ambassador Alan Pierce, a man known for his calm approach to tense situations. His usual diplomatic smile was nowhere to be seen today. "They didn't even ask," Pierce said, breaking the silence. "They just announced we're part of their empire now. Can we fight them?" the president asked, looking directly at Admiral Morgan. Morgan took a deep breath. "Madam President, we have no idea what their weapons capabilities are. The size and technology of that ship alone suggest we're outmatched. But," she added, "I'm not ready to raise a white flag either." The meeting lasted for hours. Some advisors pushed for immediate preparations to submit, arguing that survival was better than destruction. Others insisted humanity should never surrender, without a fight. Ambassador Pierce suggested a middle path. "We should appear to cooperate while gathering more information. Let's request a face-to-face meeting." The request was sent. To everyone's surprise, the aliens agreed immediately. The meeting took place the next day at a neutral location, a clearing in Switzerland. The alien delegate arrived in a smaller craft that landed with barely a sound. Lord Vexital emerged with 2 guards. Up close, he was nearly 7 feet tall and moved with unsettling grace. Ambassador Pierce led the human delegation with Admiral Morgan at his side. Her presence was a calculated move, a reminder that Earth had military options, even if limited. "Welcome to Earth," Pierce began. "We hope we can discuss the terms of any relationship between our worlds. Surely there's room for negotiation that respects our sovereignty." Lord Vextal's expression didn't change. "Negotiation? You misunderstand. I'm not here to negotiate. The Xanthari Empire does not negotiate with pre-space civilizations. I am here to accept your submission." Admiral Morgan stepped forward. "And if we choose not to submit?" For the first time, the alien's face showed emotion, amusement. He laughed, a sound like stones grinding together. Every species asks this question. Yet all submit in the end. Those who resist suffer greatly before they kneel. Your weapons cannot harm our ships. Your planet's resources are valuable to us, but your lives are not. Pierce tried again. Surely we can find common ground. You have 3 cycles, Vextal interrupted. Use them wisely. With that, he returned to his ship and departed. Back in Washington, scientists were studying every second of footage of the alien ship. Dr. Lisa Wright, a physicist specializing in quantum mechanics, noticed something odd in the energy readings. Look at this pattern, she told her colleague Jack Porter, pointing to wave formations on her screen. Their shield technology uses a harmonic resonance I've never seen before, but there's a fluctuation here and here. She pointed to periodic dips in the energy signature. Porter leaned closer. That looks like an instability. Exactly. Their technology isn't perfect. There's a weakness here if we can figure out how to exploit it. Across the globe, similar discoveries were being made. The aliens' technology, while advanced, followed certain patterns that suggested vulnerabilities. It was as if they hadn't needed to innovate beyond a certain point because no one had ever truly challenged them. At an emergency United Nations session, world leaders debated their options. Fear was the predominant emotion, but as Admiral Morgan addressed the assembly, she sowed seeds of determination. The Xanthari believe we'll submit because everyone else has. They expect us to be like the other 17 systems they've conquered, but they've never encountered humans before. Her words echoed around the room. We adapt, we innovate, and we don't surrender our freedom easily. I'm not saying we can win a direct fight, but I am saying we need to try something they won't expect. In secret facilities around the world, work began. Operation Defiance was born, hidden beneath a public show of preparation for submission. Scientists worked around the clock to develop weapons that could exploit the weaknesses they'd discovered. Admiral Morgan knew they were in a race against time. 3 months to prepare a defense against an enemy who had conquered 17 other worlds. But as she watched humans from different countries working together with a common purpose, she felt something unexpected. Hope. The Xanthari had made a critical mistake. They had given humanity time to prepare, and they had assumed humans would react like all the other species they had encountered. They were wrong on both counts. Humanity was planning something the Empire would never forget. On the surface, Earth prepared for surrender. Cities worldwide built large platforms where the submission ceremony would take place. News channels showed these preparations daily. Leaders made somber speeches about a new chapter for humanity and peaceful cooperation with the Xanthari. It was all a carefully crafted lie. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Olivia Bennett hadn't seen sunlight in weeks. Her laboratory, part of the secret Project Defiance, buzzed with activity around the clock. Screens displayed the alien ships, energy patterns, while 3D printers created prototype weapons designed to exploit the flaws Dr. Wright had discovered. The key is the frequency, Dr. Bennett explained to Admiral Morgan during her inspection tour. Their shields oscillate at a specific pattern. If we hit them with a precisely tuned electromagnetic pulse, we might be able to disrupt their systems. Temporarily. Temporarily won't be enough, Admiral Morgan said, her face grim in the blue light of the lab screens. Which is why we need to capture their technology, Dr. Bennett replied. Our theories are good, but we need to study the actual equipment. That was where Commander Eric Sullivan's mission came in. 54 years old with a weathered face that had seen too many battles, Sullivan was preparing for the most important mission of his career. His team of 12 men and women were the best special forces operators from countries around the world. Their target, a small Xanthari scout ship that had been observed making regular patrols near Jupiter's moons. This is a one-way trip for most of us, Sullivan told his team during their final briefing. But if we succeed, we give Earth a fighting chance. No one backed out. They had all volunteered, knowing the risks. Their ship was Earth's most advanced space vessel, not built for combat, but modified with every stealth technology available. Its official purpose was to conduct a scientific survey of Jupiter's moons as a goodwill mission before Earth's submission. The Xanthari had approved it, with obvious amusement at the primitive craft. As they approached Jupiter, tension filled the control room. Radar operator Maria Diaz spotted the scout ship following its usual path around Europa. It's now or never, Sullivan said quietly. He gave the order. Their ship accelerated suddenly, on a direct course with the Xanthari vessel. The alien craft tried to evade, but Sullivan's pilot anticipated the move. Magnetic grapples fired, designed based on the alien's own technology observed from Earth. "We have contact," shouted the pilot. The boarding team moved quickly, dressed in experimental spacesuits designed to withstand a variety of atmospheric conditions. Sullivan led the charge through the emergency airlock they'd created. Inside, the Xanthari crew reacted with shock. They had never been boarded before. 3 alien crew members reached for weapons, but Sullivan's team fired first. The specially designed stun weapons knocked 2 aliens unconscious. The third managed to sound an alarm before falling. "Move fast. We don't have much time," Sullivan ordered. The firefight in the narrow corridors of the alien ship was brief but costly. 4 human soldiers fell to Xanthari energy weapons, but they pushed forward, securing the bridge and engine room. The ship's pilot, a high-ranking Xanthari officer, was captured alive. "Package secured," Sullivan reported back to Earth. 5 casualties on our side. We have control of the vessel and 1 prisoner. The journey back to Earth was tense. They expected the main Xanthari ship to pursue them, but strangely, it didn't. Later they would learn why. The Empire's arrogance was so complete they considered the loss of a scout ship embarrassing, but not concerning. They couldn't imagine the primitive humans would learn anything useful from it. The captured ship was hidden in a massive underground facility in the Australian outback. Dr. Bennett's team descended on it like hungry wolves, taking apart systems and studying every component. The Xanthari prisoner, though initially uncooperative, eventually began to talk when he realized the humans were not the savages he had been taught they were. "Your shields are based on resonance technology," Dr. Bennett said to him one day, showing him her notes, "and they have a vulnerability at this frequency." The alien's eyes widened, confirming her theory without words. Meanwhile, Ambassador Pierce maintained the public deception. He met regularly with Lord Vextal, discussing the details of the upcoming submission ceremony. Each meeting was a delicate dance of appearing cooperative while gathering more information. "The Emperor himself is pleased with Earth's wise decision," Vextal said during one meeting. Some in the Imperial Court had wagered that humans would foolishly resist. Pierce forced a smile. "We know our limitations. Tell me, how do the submission ceremonies usually proceed? We want to be sure we follow proper protocols." Vextal seemed to enjoy explaining the details of how Earth would surrender its independence. Pierce noted everything, looking for any information that might help. As the second month began, General Frank Cooper oversaw the global defense strategy. Based on information from the captured scout ship, they now understood the Xanthari better. "They're bullies, not warriors," he explained during a secret meeting with world leaders. "Their empire expanded because other species surrendered without a fight. Their actual military tactics are rigid and predictable." He pointed to a holographic display showing the Xanthari ship's likely weak points. "They expect either complete surrender or a conventional attack that they can easily defeat. They don't expect us to target these specific systems or to fight in the way we're planning." Dr. Bennett's team had made a breakthrough. Using the captured technology, they had developed devices that could emit precisely tuned energy pulses. These were being mass-produced in secret facilities and distributed throughout the solar system, disguised as new satellite deployments. The captured Xanthari, who had begun to develop a grudging respect for humans, revealed another crucial piece of information. The Empire had never actually destroyed a planet that resisted. The threat was a bluff they had never needed to carry out. "The ship you see in orbit," he told Admiral Morgan, "it is impressive, yes, but it is not a war vessel. It is a diplomatic ship designed to intimidate. The Empire does not expect to need actual warships for pre-space civilizations." As the third month drew near, humanity was ready. The submission platforms now contained hidden weapons. The satellites positioned throughout the solar system were actually pulse emitters. Every nation had put aside their differences to work together against the common threat. 2 days before the submission deadline, Admiral Morgan addressed the United Earth Defense Forces. "When the Xanthari came, They expected us to be like the 17 worlds before us. They gave us 3 months because they never imagined we could do anything with that time except accept our fate. She looked around at the determined faces. But we are human, and in 3 months we have done what no other species has managed. We have prepared not to submit, but to fight back. The Xanthari would arrive expecting a surrender ceremony. They would find something very different waiting for them. The day of the submission ceremony arrived with clear skies over Geneva, Switzerland. The platform built for the occasion gleamed white in the morning sun. Flags from every nation on Earth lined the area, fluttering in the gentle breeze. Thousands of people gathered behind safety barriers, their faces showing a mix of fear, anger, and resignation. On television screens around the world, billions watched and waited. Lord Vextal's shuttle descended from the main Xanthari ship with a display of lights meant to impress. Behind it, 5 more ships entered Earth's atmosphere, the honor guard they had called it. In reality, it was a show of force. The message was clear: resist and be destroyed. Only Admiral Kate Morgan stood on the platform. She wore her full dress uniform with all medals and decorations. Her back was straight, her face calm. She had insisted on standing alone. This is humanity's response, she had told world leaders. One person standing firm, not an entire government bowing down. If something goes wrong, only one life will be lost. President Harris had argued against the plan, but Admiral Morgan was firm. The Xanthari expect us to follow their script. This is our first move to show them we won't. As the alien shuttle landed, a hush fell over the crowd. The door opened, and Lord Vextal emerged, followed by 6 guards in gleaming armor. He looked around, clearly confused at seeing only Admiral Morgan waiting. "Where are your world leaders?" he demanded as he approached. "All ruling bodies must be present to sign the submission documents." Admiral Morgan's voice was steady as she replied, "I am authorized to speak for Earth today." Vextal's eyes narrowed. "This is not the protocol. The Emperor expects to see your leaders humbled before him on the transmission." "The Emperor will have to be disappointed," Morgan said. "We've considered your offer to join the Xanthari Empire. Humanity has an answer." She touched the small device hidden in her pocket. Around the solar system, hidden installations activated. Dr. Bennett's team had worked day and night to place the pulse emitters in precise locations, creating a web that now covered the entire area where the Xanthari ships hovered. The first sign that something was wrong came from Vextal's guards. Their armor flickered with blue light and 2 of them suddenly collapsed. Vextal spun around, his face showing shock as his communication device emitted a high-pitched whine. In the sky above, the honor guard ships began to drift. Their perfect formation broke as they lost power to their stabilizers. Lights on their hulls flickered and went dark. Admiral Morgan allowed herself a small smile. "Our answer is no." Vextal's face twisted with rage. "What have you done?" He reached for a weapon at his belt, but it too was dead, affected by the precisely tuned electromagnetic pulse that now bathed the entire area. "Your shield technology has a flaw," Morgan explained calmly. "A resonance vulnerability that we identified and exploited. Right now, every Xanthari ship in our solar system is experiencing total system failure." On screens worldwide, people watched in amazement as the massive Xanthari mothership in orbit began to drift. Its purple energy lines faded to black. Secondary explosions flickered along its hull as backup systems failed. "Impossible," Vextal whispered. "You are a pre-space civilization. You cannot have developed technology to counter our shields." "You gave us 3 months," Morgan replied. "You should have given us 3 days or attacked immediately. Humans can accomplish amazing things when our freedom is threatened." The pulse emitters continued their work. On the main Xanthari ship, chaos reigned. The crew had never experienced shield failure before. Alarms blared as system after system went offline. The ship's captain ordered emergency power to weapons, but nothing responded. Back on the platform, Admiral Morgan activated her secure communication device. "All units, commence Phase 2. Around the world, military units moved into position. But they weren't preparing to attack the disabled Xanthari ships. Instead, they began to secure the areas where the ships were drifting toward the ground. Despite everything, humanity was not taking revenge. They were preventing casualties, both human and alien. "We're not going to destroy your ships or kill your people," Morgan told the stunned Vextal. "That's not our way, but we are going to ensure you can never threaten Earth again." Small Earth spacecraft, hastily fitted with technology reverse-engineered from the captured scout ship, moved into position around the disabled Xanthari vessels. They attached towing devices and stabilized the drifting ships, preventing them from crashing into populated areas. Vextal watched in disbelief. "The Emperor will send the full might of the Imperial fleet when he learns of this. You have doomed your world." "I don't think so," Morgan replied. She nodded to an aide who approached with a tablet. On the screen was the face of the captured Xanthari pilot. "Your officer here has been very helpful. He explained that your empire rules through fear, not actual military power. You've conquered pre-space civilizations who surrendered without a fight. You've never faced a real challenge." The color drained from Vextal's face. "We've also learned that your homeworld is currently dealing with rebellions in 2 of your conquered systems," Morgan continued. "It seems news has spread about a small planet that found a way to disable your supposedly invincible technology. This was the masterstroke of humanity's plan. While developing the pulse technology, they had also found a way to broadcast a message to the other conquered worlds. The message was simple. The Xanthari could be defeated." In orbit, Earth's hastily assembled space fleet secured the main Xanthari ship. Commander Sullivan himself led the boarding party. They met little resistance. Most of the crew were too shocked to fight back. On the platform, Morgan handed Vextal a document. "These are our terms. You will leave our solar system and you never return. You will acknowledge Earth's independence and our right to expand into space without Xanthari interference. In return, we will release your ships and crews once they're beyond Pluto's orbit." "And if I refuse?" Vextal asked, though his voice had lost its confidence. "Then you can explain to your emperor how you lost an entire diplomatic fleet to a primitive pre-space civilization," Morgan answered. "I imagine he wouldn't be pleased." Vextal took the document with trembling hands. The mighty Xanthari Empire, which had conquered 17 star systems without serious resistance, had just been defeated by a planet that hadn't even developed. Faster than light travel. As news spread throughout Earth, celebrations began. But Admiral Morgan and the other leaders knew this was only the beginning. The Xanthari would not accept this defeat easily. They would return, better prepared and in greater numbers. Humanity had won the first battle, but the war was just beginning. 6 months passed since the day humanity refused to submit. Earth had changed in ways few could have imagined before the Xanthari arrived. Nations that had fought for centuries now worked together. The technology taken from the alien ships advanced human science by decades. Using the Xanthari star maps, Earth now knew the locations of all 17 conquered systems and the Xanthari homeworld. More importantly, they understood the Empire's weaknesses. Dr. Olivia Bennett stood in the massive hangar, looking up at humanity's first true starship. The UES Defiance was built using a combination of human ingenuity and Xanthari technology. It wasn't as large or impressive as the alien vessels, but it had something the Xanthari ships lacked: unpredictability. "Will it work?" Admiral Morgan asked, coming to stand beside her. "The faster-than-light drive is based directly on their technology, so yes," Bennett replied. "The weapon systems are our own design, modified to exploit what we learned about their shields. In theory, everything should work." "In theory," Morgan repeated with a slight smile. "That's not very reassuring." Before Bennett could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. Red lights flashed as the base went into high alert. "They're back," Morgan said, her smile fading. She rushed to the command center with Bennett close behind. The screen showed the situation clearly. The Xanthari had returned as promised, but with a much larger force. 25 warships had appeared at the edge of the solar system. They were larger than the diplomatic vessel from before, bristling with weapons. "Message coming in," announced the communications officer. The screen showed a new Xanthari face, older than Vextal's and scarred on one side. "I am Grand Admiral Korvash of the Imperial Fleet. Your planet has committed an act of war against the Xanthari Empire. Surrender immediately or face destruction." President Harris, who had come to the command center when the alert sounded, stepped forward. "We beat them once, we can do it again." "It won't be that easy," Morgan cautioned. "They've had time to modify their shields against our pulse technology. We need to assume our primary weapon won't work this time." Reports came in from the outer system monitoring stations. The Xanthari fleet was moving slowly, cautiously. They were testing for traps as they advanced toward Earth. "They're being careful," General Cooper observed. "They respect us now. That's something." "Launch the Defiance," President Harris ordered. "If we wait until they reach Earth, we'll be fighting a defensive battle. Let's take the fight to them." Captain Diane Ward received the order with calm determination. At 38, she had been selected to command humanity's first starship because of her unconventional thinking and cool head under pressure. Her crew of 100 was the best Earth had to offer: pilots, engineers, scientists, and soldiers from every corner of the globe. "Prepare for launch," she ordered from the captain's chair. "All hands to stations." The Defiance rose from its hidden base in the mountains of Colorado, its engines glowing blue against the night sky. People in nearby towns came out to watch, pointing and cheering as humanity's hope took flight. In space, the ship accelerated quickly, heading toward the approaching Xanthari fleet near Neptune's orbit. Captain Ward gathered her officers in the strategy room. "We're outnumbered and less experienced," she told them bluntly. "But we have advantages they don't expect. Our ship is smaller and more maneuverable. Our weapons are designed specifically to target their vulnerabilities. And most importantly, they think in straight lines while we think around corners." The Defiance took position behind one of Neptune's moons, hiding its energy signature as the Xanthari fleet approached. Ward's plan was simple but daring. Wait until the lead ships passed, then attack from behind, focusing on the command vessel. Grandy. "Admiral Korvash will be on the largest ship in the center of their formation," she explained. "If we can capture or disable that ship, we might end this without a full battle." The Xanthari fleet moved into position, their formation perfect and predictable. They passed Neptune without detecting the hidden Earth ship. "Now," Ward ordered. The Defiance burst from hiding, engines at maximum power. Before the Xanthari could react, the Earth ship was among them, firing precisely targeted energy beams at the central command ship. The modified weapons did exactly what Dr. Bennett had promised. They created localized failures in the Xanthari shields. Chaos erupted in the Xanthari formation. Ships turned to attack the Defiance, but in doing so, some fired upon each other in the confusion. The Xanthari had never faced an enemy who would fly directly into their formation. Their tactics were based on long-range engagements with clearly defined battle lines. On the command ship, Grand Admiral Korvash roared in anger. "Destroy that human vessel. Use the planet killer." The largest Xanthari ship began to change configuration, parts shifting to reveal a massive weapon port. This was their ultimate threat, a device capable of cracking a planet's crust. But as the weapon powered up, something unexpected happened. The energy buildup suddenly reversed, causing explosions throughout the ship. The weapon had been sabotaged from within. Ward received an unexpected transmission on a secure channel. "Captain Ward, this is Steve Russell. Get ready to board the EU command ship. We've taken out their main weapon." Ward was stunned. Russell was part of a secret mission that had left Earth 3 months earlier, using a captured Xanthari shuttle. They had traveled to other conquered worlds, making contact with resistance groups and spreading the technology to defeat Xanthari shields. "Russell, what's your situation?" she asked. "We have allies inside the Xanthari fleet," came the reply. "Not all species in the Empire are loyal. Some have been waiting for a chance to fight back. When they heard Earth had successfully resisted, they joined us." The battle took an unexpected turn. 3 Xanthari ships suddenly turned their weapons on their own fleet. Confusion spread as the perfect formation collapsed. Captain Ward seized the opportunity. The Defiance moved alongside the damaged command ship, and boarding teams launched. Across. The fight through the corridors was fierce but quick. Many Xanthari surrendered when they realized their shields and weapons were failing. Grand Admiral Korvash was captured on the bridge, his face twisted with rage and disbelief. "How is this possible? You are primitives." Ward looked at the diverse group of resistance fighters who had helped them, beings from half a dozen different conquered worlds who had secretly worked together. "We may be new to space," she told the Admiral, "but we understand something you don't. Real strength isn't in technology or conquest. It's in cooperation and adaptability." With the command ship captured and several others destroyed or disabled, the remaining Xanthari vessels retreated. For the second time, humanity had defeated the supposedly invincible empire. But this victory was different. This time, Earth wasn't just defending itself. It had taken the fight to the enemy and inspired other worlds to join the resistance. The war had truly begun, and the Xanthari Empire faced something it had never encountered before: a multi-species alliance led by the most unpredictable species of all: humans. 1 year after the first Xanthari ship entered Earth's orbit, humanity led a force unlike any the galaxy had seen before. The Liberation Fleet consisted of 23 ships, 5 built by humans and 18 that had once belonged to the Xanthari, but were now crewed by resistance fighters from conquered worlds. Admiral Diane Ward, promoted after her victory at Neptune, stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, now the flagship of this unlikely armada. The ship had been upgraded based on knowledge gained from their alien allies. Next to her stood representatives from 6 different species, each one bringing unique skills and burning desire for freedom. "All ships report ready, Admiral," said her first officer. Ward nodded, her face solemn. What they were about to attempt had never been done before. The Xanthari Empire had ruled for over 300 years. No one had ever successfully invaded their homeworld. "Send the signal to jump," she ordered. "Next stop, Xanthar Prime." Throughout the fleet, faster than light, drives engaged. The ships vanished from the edge of Earth's solar system and reappeared light years away near the heart of the Empire. The plan was bold but simple. Over the past year, resistance cells had grown on all 17 conquered worlds. Earth had shared the shield-disrupting technology with every group willing to fight. When the Liberation Fleet arrived at each world, they would support already ongoing uprisings. The first target was Ilara, a planet with blue oceans and red forests. Its people, tall with 4 arms and silver skin, had been under Xanthari control for 70 years. When the fleet arrived, the revolution was already in progress. The few Xanthari ships in orbit were quickly disabled by the same pulse technology that had saved Earth. "The Ilarans control 3 major cities," reported Steve Russell, who had become the chief liaison with the alien resistance fighters. "They need support in the capital." Ward dispatched help immediately. Earth's special forces, trained by Commander Sullivan before his retirement, dropped to the surface in small, fast shuttles. They brought weapons and the crucial shield disruptors. The pattern repeated on world after world. Some fights were harder than others, but the outcome was always the same. Without their technological advantage, the Xanthari were poor fighters. They had relied on fear for so long they had forgotten how to wage actual war. News of the liberation spread faster than the fleet itself. By the time they reached the 10th world, the people had already overthrown their Xanthari governors. They greeted the fleet with celebrations instead of calls for help. On the 12th world, they captured a high-ranking Xanthari official. He looked at the human officers with a mixture of hatred and fear. "You don't understand what you're doing," he told Ward. "Without the Empire, there will be chaos. The subjected species will turn on each other." Ward shook her head. "We're not destroying the Empire to create nothing in its place. We're helping build a galactic cooperative where all species have equal voice and rights." The idea had come from Ambassador Pierce, who had spent the year traveling with the fleet, helping each liberated world establish new governments and join the growing alliance. "Impossible," sneered the official. "Different species cannot cooperate for long. It is against the natural order. Ward gestured around the bridge of her ship, where humans worked alongside beings from a dozen different worlds. We're making it work just fine. As the fleet approached the final systems before Xanthar Prime, they expected the resistance to grow stronger. To their surprise, they found many Xanthari colonies abandoned, the officials having fled toward the homeworld. They're consolidating their forces for a last stand, Ward realized. They're going to throw everything they have at us at Xanthar Prime. The Liberation fleet grew as ships from freed worlds joined them. By the time they reached the final jump point to the Xanthari homeworld, they had over 100 vessels, of various sizes. Ward called a meeting of all ship captains. What we do next will decide the future of this part of the galaxy for generations, she told them. The Xanthari still have powerful weapons on their homeworld. Many lives could be lost if we attack directly. A captain from one of the first liberated worlds spoke up. My people suffered under their rule for 200 years. We should show no mercy. Revenge isn't justice, Ward replied firmly. We fight to free people, not to become conquerors ourselves. I propose we offer terms. The debate was heated, but in the end, they agreed to send a message before attacking. The Xanthari Emperor would be given one chance to surrender peacefully. The response came quickly. The mighty Xanthari Empire does not surrender to lesser beings. Come and we will show you the fate of all who defy us. Ward sighed. She had expected this answer, but had hoped for better. Prepare the fleet for battle. The jump to Xanthar Prime revealed a stunning sight. The Xanthari homeworld was surrounded by defensive platforms and hundreds of ships. It should have been an impossible battle, but the Xanthari had made one final, fatal mistake. They had recalled ships from all their colonies, leaving them undefended. This had allowed the resistance on those worlds to take control of communication systems. Now, as the battle began, a signal went out from the Liberation fleet to those captured systems. Throughout the Xanthari defense network, systems began to fail. Shields flickered and died. Weapons powered down. The sabotage was coming from within their own systems. The battle was still hard fought. The Xanthari fought desperately to protect their homeworld. But without functioning shields, their ships fell one by one to the Liberation fleet. Ward led the final assault on the Imperial Palace itself. The once grand symbol of Xanthari power was half ruined by the time they reached it. Not from human weapons, but from the angry masses of the Xanthari's own subject peoples who had been transported to the capital as servants and slaves. Emperor Vortal was found trying to escape in a small shuttle. When brought before Ward and the other leaders of the Liberation fleet, he seemed smaller than his images, older and more frail. Why? He asked simply. Why did your species not submit like all the others? You could have had peace. Admiral Ward looked at him calmly. Humanity doesn't bow to bullies. We break them. That's who we are. The Emperor was taken into custody to stand trial for crimes against all the species of the former Empire. The Galactic Cooperative that replaced it was headquartered not on Earth or Xanthar Prime, but on a neutral world where representatives from all planets had equal voice. Admiral Ward declined a permanent position in the new government. She preferred to return to space, commanding the Defiance on missions of exploration rather than war. On the day the cooperative charter was signed, she stood with Dr. Bennett and Ambassador Pierce watching the ceremony. Do you think they'll remember how this all started? Bennett asked. A single ship entering Earth's orbit demanding our submission? Ward smiled. I think they'll remember our answer. The Empire asked Earth to submit, and our response left there. Planets in ruin and their power broken forever. And in its place, added Pierce, something better for everyone. Throughout the former Empire, the story spread of the small blue planet that had faced the mighty Xanthari, and not only refused to kneel, but inspired a revolution that freed 17 worlds and changed the course of galactic history forever.